It's been about 6 years since we've gotten a solid Borderlands experience. Tales from the Borderlands doesn't play like a traditional Borderlands game. I still love it though, and the pre-sequel was severely lacking in content and replayability. We know Borderlands 3 is coming out, but we don't know exactly when. Looking back on all the Borderlands games made me realize that they each brought something great to the series. In this video, I'm going to cherry pick the best parts of each game and introduce some new ideas to include in Borderlands 3 so it could be the best in the series. Let's start with Borderlands 1. One of the main reasons we all play Borderlands is for the loot. Borderlands 1 arguably had the best loot system out of all the games. The weapons were more diverse and unique compared to the sequels. There were more manufacturers that had fewer limits. There were Torg SMGs, Meliwan shotguns, and a lot more. I'd like to see this weapon system brought back in Borderlands 3. The legendaries in 1 were basically normal guns with better stats, while the pearlescents were better than the legendaries and had gimmicks. I prefer this over Borderlands 2 legendaries and pearls, which were all very gimmicky. Another thing I liked about Borderlands 1 is how you had a chance of coming across a legendary or pearl at any time, whether it be from killing a mob, opening chests, or even browsing shops. This made the game unpredictable in a good way. While I liked coming across rare weapons randomly in 1 and farming specific enemies in 2, I think Borderlands 3 should be a mix of both. Most weapons could either be found randomly or could be farmed from specific bosses if you're getting unlucky. The third thing I liked about Borderlands 1 was how you could come across a really powerful lower tiered weapon. For example, if you found a double anarchy or master revolver, you were set for like 15 or more levels. That leads me to the next segment. Borderlands 1 had the best scaling out of all the games. It used lower number values and progression was linear. Let me ask you something. What's easier to read? This or this? Even the Vault Hunters were balanced. Lilith was the best because she never died and did so much damage, but the other Vault Hunters weren't too far behind. Better scaling and balance leads to a more diverse endgame, which is crucial for the longevity of Borderlands 3. One of my favorite additions to the first game was weapon proficiencies. I felt a sense of pride and accomplishment every time I saw it leveled up on the top of my screen. It also gave you something else to work towards besides just leveling up your character. Proficiencies also allowed for weapons to be divided among players easier. If my friends found an SMG with good stats, they'd give it to me when I was leveling up SMGs. With the way the loot system and scaling worked in Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel, everyone was forced to switch weapon types every single level, and it was so annoying. That brings up another problem: ammunition. Since I was always switching weapon types, I was always running out of ammo. I didn't want to waste my iridium at Black Girl's Black Market on an SDU for a weapon type I was just going to switch from anyway. Even though the classes in Borderlands 2 have preferred weapons, like the classes in Borderlands 1, that really didn't matter early game. Either switch to a better weapon or have fun doing no damage. Something exclusive to Borderlands 1 was gore. Headshots took enemies' heads off, explosives tore bodies apart, incendiary, I hate pronouncing this word, burned flesh off, corrosive ate your enemies alive, and shock caused eyes to pop out of sockets. I want this back in Borderlands 3 because I'm sick in the head and love seeing these things. The last two things I loved about Borderlands 1 was Lilith's cleavage and the DLC. All the DLCs were great, but the army of General Knox was on another level, and you know why. There were so many chests.
It's like Christmas.
Seriously though, it was like Christmas every time you went in there. This is how I like to be rewarded. This game did so many things wrong, but it also did so many things right. Borderlands 2 had many quality of life changes, and it just felt better to play. The movement and combat mechanics were tighter, the graphics were beautiful, the level design was top notch, the story and characters were fantastic, and so much more. Besides these things, there really wasn't anything super specific I liked about it. Despite that, I'd like to see this level of innovation in Borderlands 3. Even though the pre-sequel is arguably the worst out of the three, it did some things right. I believe it had the best skill trees out of the series, despite too many characters having stacking skills. What I liked about the trees was that they actually added skills and abilities like Hades Shackles on Athena instead of stat buffs. Every character felt drastically different from each other because their trees were designed almost like a minigame. For Athena, it was trying to maintain stacks of Maelstrom. Aurelia literally had a slot machine pop up every time you zoomed in with a sniper. The other great addition to this game was the action skill at level 3. It helped with the pacing of the game. I say in Borderlands 3, take it even further. Give it to us right away. The pre-sequel fully implemented something the headhunters from 2 experimented with, and that was Vault Hunter comments. During certain scenes, your Vault Hunter would say something which was often hilarious. It helped flesh out their personalities and added a bit of replayability because you wanted to hear what the other Vault Hunters said. Last, and especially not least, Tales from the Borderlands. While it didn't play like your typical Borderlands game, it sure felt like one. It had well-written jokes, a fantastic story, and lovable characters that I'd like to see return in Borderlands 3. These are things that directly affect how you play the game. I know this is obvious, but I felt like I needed to define it anyway. I'd like to see more weapon types in Borderlands 3. Weapons like grenade launchers, crossbows, and flamethrowers, and Borderlands case would be element throwers. Also, make revolvers, repeaters, and machine guns their own thing. This will add diversity to the weapons. Another thing I want are class-specific melee weapons, which could help expand the possibilities for melee builds. Nitpick I had with the games is that I couldn't run around with my melee weapon out. Battlefield allows you to hold the melee button, which will take your melee weapon out, and then you can pull one of the triggers to attack with it instead of hitting the melee button. It's a quality of life thing. The second thing I believe Borderlands 3 needs is more skill trees. This could tie in with weapon proficiencies. Each weapon type could have a separate skill tree with stat increases and kill skills. Leveling up weapon types gives you points to spend in the trees. I think Badass Rank should make a return as well. It rewarded players long term and gave you little challenges to complete to increase it. My friends would always compare our Badass ranks. We'd be like, hey man, what's your Badass rank at? It's at 20,691. Mine is at 20,692, you little bitch! However, I think it should increase other stats instead of the ones in Borderlands 2. Stats like the amount of XP, currency, and ammo earned. Things like that. The vehicles get better throughout the series, but I think they could still be improved upon in many ways. One way is how they control. Halo has the best feeling vehicles I've ever experienced. There's nothing like driving around a Warthog with your friend in the back, shooting everything up. Runners should feel the same way. One mechanic that's missing from Borderlands is the ability to hijack other vehicles. It sucked whenever you were in the dust and your car blew up because you had to run for like 10 minutes to make it to the nearest. Catch a ride! And I don't know if it's just me, but I don't really care for the vehicle sections. They're not intertwined with the whole game like they are in Halo. We never have to race out of a collapsing structure or anything like that. We drive from place to place, do a couple missions in an open area, and that's it. I think there's a lot of potential for vehicles in Borderlands, but if they're just going to stay the same, I'd rather have a game without them, because they don't fit in with Borderlands' core gameplay. One major issue I had with Borderlands 2 was finally getting a rare drop only for it to spawn with a stupid scope and an element that manages to make it worse than it normally would have been. This was annoying when you only wanted a specific version of a weapon. I don't mind farming for my weapons, but I think I should be able to change the element and the sight. That's it. I don't want to change the barrel or anything else, just the element and the sight. Many PC players edit their save to get all the other variants of a rare, so why not make that a mechanic in the game? Allowing players to change certain parts would also solve another issue, which was uniques. The blue quest rewards with red text that should be another color so you don't accidentally trash them. In Borderlands 2, you can only receive items like the Sandhawk and Ladyfist once. This was an issue when they came in an element like slag. What if I wanted it in a different element? Well, now I have to use exploits to get another version or play the whole game over. So for the love of RNGesus, allow us to change the element and scope. That's it. Even though they had different names, the 4 traditional classes that Borderlands 1 and 2 shared should make a return in 3. The Hunter/Assassin, the Siren, the Soldier/Commando, and the Berserker/Gunzerker. A pattern I noticed was that Maya played the role of the support, much like Roland, while Zero was the go-to melee class like Brick. With this logic, either the Siren or Soldier will be the go-to melee class, while the Hunter or Berserker will play the role of the support. Another pattern I noticed was with the Sirens. Lilith was incendiary and Maya was mostly corrosive. I think it'd be interesting if the next playable Siren was the go-to melee class that used shock as their main element, and the Berserker was the support. These are things that will increase the replayability and longevity of the game. Fans of Borderlands have always wanted more character customization and cosmetics. Players should be able to choose their own color schemes, like Borderlands 1, and unlock patterns through drops. Doom 2016 had something similar to this. In addition to that, we should be able to have more changeable parts besides our heads. I'd like to be able to change our body, arms, and legs. However, it all depends on the anatomy of the Vault Hunter. Furthermore, not only should there be more character customization, there should be environmental customization. Games like Skyrim allow you to customize your own house with the Hearthfire add-on. With this expansion, you can furnish your house with display cases, weapon racks, furniture, statues, and more. I think it'd be awesome if we had our own apartment or room that we could customize the interior of. We could display our favorite items in a case, mount a raid boss's head on the wall, and put a butt stallion statue in our living rooms. If that wasn't exciting to think about, imagine actual raids to accompany the raid bosses. I know, it's crazy, right? One thing Destiny does well is raids. They incorporate platforming, puzzle solving, stealth, and teamwork. Raids in Borderlands would most likely take place in vaults. We've only been in 2 vaults, one in the pre-sequel and one in Tales, and I'd like to see more. An important aspect while designing these raids would be to make it doable by any amount of players. Many people play solo or don't have enough friends to make a full team, and it'd be unfair to leave those people out. However, to make it worthwhile to complete with more people, players should be rewarded for every person present during the completion of a raid. If you have 4 people, you get 4 rewards. If you did it by yourself, you only get 1. I've spent countless hours on each Borderlands game, and I would have spent many more if it wasn't such a pain in the ass to level a character up. You have to play through the story many times, and even if you level a character all the way up using exploits, you still have to do story missions to make it to Ultimate Vault Hunter mode. As a result, I never got to experience all the Vault Hunters fully, which is a shame. A solution to this would be Adventure Mode from Diablo 3. Adventure Mode is unlocked for all characters after completing the game for the first time. None of the campaign quests are available. Instead, you go through special zones completing bounties while killing mobs and bosses. Leveling a character from 1 to 70 could take anywhere between 1 hour to a couple. With the way Borderlands is structured, Adventure Mode would need to go through a few changes. Instead of unlocking it after completing the campaign once, it can be unlocked on all characters after reaching the max level on one and completing all the side missions. Reason being, it takes 2 playthroughs to reach level 50 in vanilla Borderlands games. Furthermore, this would let players experience the story a second time. Borderlands has many great story and side quest moments, and experience them once isn't enough. When players do unlock Adventure Mode, leveling a character to max should take about 3 hours. I think this is enough time for players to get familiar with their new Vault Hunter. Once you reach level 30, you unlock True Vault Hunter mode. That way you can play the campaign again if you wanted. You also unlock all fast travel points, and the game acts as if you did all the main and side quests in normal mode. The same thing happens with True Vault Hunter mode when you reach max level. Just so you don't miss out on quest rewards, there should be a special vendor that sells you all of them. I want to see and learn more about the Borderlands universe in 3. I would like to visit the home planets of some of the Vault Hunters. Maya came from the planet Athenas, which was ruled by an order of monks. Gage came from Eden 5, which seemed fairly normal. We also learned that one of the planets Borderlands 3 may take place on is Promethea. Little is known about Promethea, but the tidbits of information we do have is that it's apparently worse than Pandora, and it's the place where Atlas first found Iridian technology. These are places that I'd like to visit because they could provide interesting lore and more insight on the Borderlands universe. Regarding lore, I'd like to learn more about the Sirens and Iridians. I don't want to learn everything, I just want to learn enough to satisfy my curiosity. This may sound stupid, but I hope they find a way to bring Roland back too. I felt like he was treated poorly in Borderlands 2 because of how he was killed off and how his personality changed. If you listen to Roland's Borderlands 1 voice lines, he actually had a personality, unlike in Borderlands 2. I'm fully aware that many of these things won't be present in Borderlands 3, especially the more niche things like better vehicles, the whole Vault Hunter thing, and a customizable home. All I could ask is that Gearbox makes Borderlands 3 the best it could be. They know how to do that more than anyone else. If I had to take the most important things on this list to include in Borderlands 3, would be the Borderlands 1 loot system, pre-sequel style skill trees, and new settings. That's it. So let me hear your thoughts and ideas. What do you think Borderlands 3 needs to make it the best in the series? I'd also like feedback on this video. What could have I done better? I know my commentary wasn't the best, my jokes were pretty shitty, and I really need a pop filter. I try to watch how I pronounced certain words, but it still slipped through. I'm interested to read your comments though. I'll also answer any questions you may have about the video, my ideas, or any other game or topic. Anyways, if you want to subscribe, please do. Even though I have some ideas for other videos I want to do, I'm open to suggestions. Doesn't necessarily have to be about Borderlands. I play many other games, as you could probably tell. Anyways, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time.